Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So, I want to talk about something that really does not come naturally to me, and I am being forced to learn over and over and over again. Knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. And I really, in this journey, have learned that it's a very spiritually sophisticated thing to do. So I have this condition called mast cell activation syndrome. I don't want to get too deep into it, but it just means that my body produces a lot of histamine, which makes your body reactive and sensitive and just really, really easily overwhelmed. Like my body goes into emergency mode really quickly and without my own permission. And on the days where the mast cell is louder, bigger, you know, I have to make choices that really don't always feel good to make. And so a while back, I woke up feeling just like a little bit off. And this is honestly the particular kind of off that I've learned slowly and imperfectly to recognize that it's a little mast celly. It's this thing that I have, and it's not terrible. I'm not incapacitated by any means. It's just this little signal I get, right? It's my body saying something. And I had signed up for my megaformer class. And honestly, there was like a cancellation fee. And I love the class and I love how I feel after it. And I love how I feel during it. And so, Ascenders, I went anyway. Because you know, I I just want to say, because I think it matters for the story and it matters for this podcast. Like, I do love exercise. It wasn't a punishment. It's like a joy, especially after all my body has been through, like to see it be able to do these things with other people. It's pretty amazing. And it also clears my head and lifts my mood and just like makes me feel capable and alive. Okay. So when I say I pushed through that morning, I'm not talking about like white knuckling through something I hate, like a punishment. I'm talking about choosing something I love over a very clear signal that my body was sending me. And I'm sure it's going to shock you, Ascenders. I suffered gravely for it. And it's weird because it's not like dramatically, but the whole day I was just dragging. I was exhausted in a way that's different than that kind of good tired that you get from a hard workout. I was like depleted, tired. I couldn't catch it. Like I was flat. And listen, rightfully so. My body had told me something that I hadn't listened to, and it used the rest of the day to get what it needed and make sure I understood the message. And for whatever reason, this time, I really sat with it because, listen, I mean, I'm how many years? I'm almost 16, 17 years recovering from an eating disorder. I've worked really hard to learn to love movement. And I think the line between honoring your body and listening to your body just isn't always obvious because that old eating disorder voice is like, push through, don't waste the money, like, you got this, like, burn, burn, whatever. And it says I'm not allowed to rest. And it just has a lot of opinions about what I deserve and what I'm allowed to feel. And that even, maybe I don't even feel this way. Maybe I'm faking it, whatever. So, you know, that Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, like learning to fold them, right? Hearing the signal, responding to it with care instead of overriding it. It's really hard work. And I think it's really important work. Funny how those two go together so naturally, you know? And knowing which one, right? Knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. That's really the practice. And I really have such a great pocket sage for us today. Audre Lorde. Audre Lorde book a burst of light. And Audre Lorde was a poet and an activist who really shaped how we think about identity and power and what it means to survive. This book is a journal that she kept while she was living with and ultimately dying from cancer. And she wrote it while she was fighting for her life. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, this book. In the middle of it, in the middle of that fight, she says something about her own body and its limits that I just find really profound, especially for this particular podcast today. Living with cancer has forced me to consciously jettison the myth of omnipresence, of believing or loosely asserting that I can do anything. I'm going to define those words in a minute, so don't worry. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. Living with cancer has forced me to consciously jettison the myth of omnipresence, of believing or loosely asserting that I can do anything. And so I want to sit with two of those words because I had to look them up myself. Jettison, which is to throw overboard, right? To let go of something you've been carrying. And omnipresence, which is the belief that you can be everywhere, do everything, handle everything. Sound familiar? The myth that we're limitless, right? And Audre Lorde is saying that her illness forced her to throw that myth overboard, to finally, honestly reckon with what she could and couldn't do. And I think it's so true and hard and necessary and everything in between because most of us are carrying that myth too. And I think we're all pretty exhausted from it. Am I right? So, our word of the day today is humility. And I'm not using humility like self deprecating or small. I'm using humility as the willingness to be honest about what you are and what you're not on any given day, right? The willingness to hear the signal that your body sends and respond to it truthfully instead of overriding it with what you think you should be capable of. That was a shout out to me. And listen, there's just a particular kind of humility required to fold, to say, not today, to choose to rest when everything in you wants to push, to trust that listening to your body is wisdom and not weakness, like diet culture might tell you. And that's just not easy for anybody, right? And for those of us with complicated histories with our bodies, right? And complicated histories with eating and exercise and all those voices that have opinions about what we deserve, all me, by the way, it requires a little bit of extra help, right? A little bit of extra credit. And sometimes that's a daily or even an hourly recommitment to treating ourselves like someone worth caring for. And so this beautiful reading, this beautiful book is saying that myth of omnipresence, like that myth of I can do anything, I can push through anything, I'm limitless, it's something that at least with our physical bodies, we have to throw overboard, not once, but again and again and again and again and again. Every time the body sends a signal that we've learned to override, every time we choose the wise thing over the loud thing. And so here's what I want us to talk about today. Your body keeps the score. Your body knows. It is talking to you, right? The only question we want to answer is, are we listening to it? Because I think about the morning I pushed through to that exercise class, and there have been many mornings I'm just deciding I'm ready to deal with it. And I really knew. I knew before I got in that car that my body was sending a signal. And I was like, no, I want to work out today. I overrode it. And it's really not because I'm reckless. And it's not because I don't care about my health. I really do. I have a lot of injury. I try to honor my body. I try to honor all that it's done for me. But that morning, the old voice was louder than the wise one, right? And really pushing through felt like a strength. It felt like, okay, I'm going to do it and I'll feel better afterwards. I mean, it felt really earnest, to be honest. Because still, after all of this work, there's a part of me that sometimes believes that rest needs to be earned. And that part is dead wrong. And I know it's wrong. And I still have to remind myself of that some days. And for those of us recovering from eating disorders who also love exercise, the relationship between body and movement is complicated in ways that are really hard to fully explain. Because exercise has been a gift and a punishment in my life. And learning to let it only be a gift, right? Learning to use it from love rather than from obligation or self-punishment or needing to prove something. It's ongoing work. And really, part of that work is knowing when to fold. Like when the body says no, and I can let it mean it, right? I can trust my no and I can let it be true. You know, and not like most of us, I hope, are not facing something as dramatic as liver cancer, like the reading is talking about. But the myth is just as present in us, right? That belief that our bodies are limitless and that pushing through is always the right answer. Listen, I'm also not saying that our bodies aren't limitless, but I am saying when your body is telling you no, there's not a woo-woo spiritual guide in this world that would say, yeah, push through that no. I hope. Not one worth their weight in gold, I'll tell you that, because the signal the body sends is something to honor. It's not something to override. And I mean, I'm just the kind of girl that's got to learn the hard way sometimes, right? And I learned it that morning and I already knew it. So I guess I needed to relearn it. The body is not the enemy. The signal is not weakness. The folding when you need to fold is not giving up. It's actually taking care of yourself. It's treating yourself like someone whose limits are real and are worth respecting. It's a 1+1 is 5 venture, right? Do it with exercise. You can do it in your whole life. And we don't have to earn rest. And we're not bad if we don't work out, right? We don't have to push through every signal our body sends. It's like that Kenny Rogers song, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. And it's really such an act of love that you can do for yourself, or at least try with me. So listen, here's your reflective question for the day. What is your body telling you right now that you have been overriding? And what would it look like to actually listen? And my ascenders, if this relationship between your body and food and exercise and what you deserve is complicated for you, namaste. If the old voices still have too much to say in how you treat yourself, woof, that is literally what we do inside of my stop starting over system. And not just around food, hardly about food, honestly, around the whole deal, relationship with body and what you deserve. And you can go into the show notes and book a discovery call, or you can go to mollycarmel.com for more. And I am right here with you, Ascenders, learning to listen, learning to hold them, learning to fold them, learning to care about ourselves like we actually matter, because we do. We rise together. Until next time.